Yo, what's up, everybody? So, Singapore, my first time in an Asia-type country, was out there for one of the biggest crypto events in the world called Token2049, representing, of course, the one and only SquidGrow. Had an absolute blast. I got back on Saturday morning. It's now Monday morning. I can't believe this is my life. This has been the best year for me in probably since I first got signed to a music label. But yes, we were out in Singapore representing SquidGrow, promoting Silent Swap. Now, once again, this is one of those trips where it was just a small select few of the team, basically the same people that went to Nashville. And for some reason, I was invited again. I only say that because, you know, bro, what the fuck? What am I doing in Singapore? But yeah, we were out there for 5 days, which is really fucking dope. And even though we were working every single day, when this trip was spoken about, I was like, just me personally, I was like, man, I really hope it's like longer than 3 days. It's closer than America, but it's still like an 11-hour trip. But yes, a brief little story on how I was invited. So the way it works, every event that we're invited to, there are TG groups, like separate TG groups made just for those individual trips. And usually before I'm invited into the chat, Shiv will call me and ask me, yo, what's your schedule looking like? I'd really like you to go blah, 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 blah. But with this one, I was just added straight to the chat. And I'm not gonna lie, I was sitting next to my missus on the bed and my phone goes off and I see I'd been added to the Singapore group chat. And straight away, I was like, frothing at the mouth. Now at that point, I didn't get my hopes up because as excited as I was also still nothing is real until the tickets are booked. That's just how I operate. And unlike the Nashville trip, which was booked the day before, this trip we actually knew a couple weeks, I think, at least a couple weeks before. We had sorted accommodation and flights and all the other stuff there, which was good for me because it allowed me to prepare and try to come up with other things that I could do outside of the vlog and stuff like that. So about 3 or 4 days prior to jumping on the flight, I started writing a rap about being in Singapore with SquidGrow and had an idea to film a video for it while we were there. I managed to do that. I actually wrote another one while I was on the plane, but the time was just too short. So I'm still doing that one. I'm still working that one out, and that will be coming out later. Probably, obviously, won't be filmed in Singapore, but it will be coming out. So our first event was the D-Pen event, which was like a real world summit event where we had a booth for Silent Swap. If you don't know what Silent Swap is, follow us on TG, follow it on Twitter, visit the website, which I'll put right here. As me explaining it will just make this video 20 minutes longer. And at this event, basically the whole gist of it is there are other protocols, exchanges, networks that walk around the whole event and go booth to booth asking, you know, what do you do? What do you guys do? What is Silent Swap? What's SquidGrow? I'm basically like a telemarketer, but like in real life, right? I mean, that's the only way I know how to explain it. We basically just tell people about the product, and the product being Silent Swap, what it does, why it's unique, why it's better than anybody else's product that they would mention. Like some of them would be like, so it's kind of like da 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 da, or it's kind of like da 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 da, and I would be like, no, it's not. Nah. I'd be like, yes, it is that, but without the centralized part, without this and this and this and this and this, and then they would just take a free t-shirt. Because at the Silent Swap booth that we had, we were giving out free merch. So if you saw us or you were around, you probably walked away with the t-shirt. And I'm not going to lie, as more people were coming up to the booth asking for t-shirts and stuff like that, I'd be like, yeah, you can take a t-shirt, but first you have to follow Silent Swap. And obviously I would always throw in Shibtoshi, me personally. Like other team members had their way of like explaining it and selling it and blah, 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 blah. And I had my own way because I'm not like them. And even if they seemed like they were a bit hesitant or they were like, oh, whatever, I'm just here for a free t-shirt, I would start asking them if they knew who Shibtoshi was or if they've seen the guy in the gold mask. 40 to 50% of them knew. They'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen that on my timeline. And then if they didn't know, I would do the due diligence of asking them, hey, did you ever hear about the infamous story about a guy that put $5,000 into Shiba Inu? I know it's more than that, but you know, put $5,000 into Shiba Inu and it turned into $5 billion. And they'd be like, yeah, I've actually heard of that story. What does that have to do with any of this? Well, today's your lucky day because he is the CEO of Silent Swap and SquidGrow. Usually they would be a lot more intrigued and interested, and then now they're taking what I'm saying a bit more seriously. But yeah, that was basically the gist of that whole event. And also while we were there during a secret network talk, we had the devs announce that the beta was going live. So basically anybody that was whitelisted now had access to try Silent Swap, while the beta version. And that was pretty fucking cool, man, because I know a lot of people out there have been waiting and wondering like, what the hell, when is this coming out? So it was really cool that we actually got to announce while we were there. Now, as I mentioned, I filmed a little video to a track I wrote 3 days before flying out. And also while we were there, I got to film extra and additional scenes to music videos I already have coming out later on in the year, which I was super excited about because I've already filmed some in Texas and all these other places. So it's cool to have like a video where you're in different places around the world. And on top of that, it's obviously cool to showcase like SquidGrow is worldwide. We're not just located in America and only do American events. So a few days before flying out, I started Googling what are some iconic spots in Singapore that really show like, hey, we're in Singapore and not just some random street that looks like it could be anywhere. And so we shot some stuff down at the Merlion statue. We shot some stuff at Gardens by the Bay, and then little bits here and there around the city that really show you buildings that are only in Singapore. Now, obviously, the main event, the main reason why we were there, Token2049. I've never been to an event like that where there were so many people. Like, first off, the expo is like 5 floors high, right? But you get to the first floor, it almost seems like an infinite doorway of just rooms, like rooms and rooms just filled with crypto projects. And on top of all the projects, wallets, exchanges, they're handing out free popcorn, free coffee, free food and drinks, free merch. And that's just the first floor. And then you go to the second floor, and then the third floor, and then the fourth floor. And the fourth floor was where they had like the real food. And this place was just like real cooked food. It wasn't just cheese and crackers. I had butter chicken on the second day. I had beef stew and rice on the first day. And there's also waiters walking around with Sprite, Coke, juice, whatever you need, whatever you want. And you don't have to pay for any of it. No matter if you're VIP or general ticket, it doesn't matter. It's all free for the 2 days you're there. And basically on the 5th floor is where all like the major projects are, like the people that could afford the big booths and the big space and all that kind of stuff. And if you're wondering, yo, so did SquidGrow or Silent Swap have a booth at Token2049? Unfortunately, we did not, just because it was a bit last minute, but we did make sure that our presence was felt. But yeah, man, like if I sit here and tell you guys all about like what the 2 days was like and every single little detail that we did and all that kind of shit, like I would be here. This video would be like an hour. But crazily enough, just like how I met Michael Saylor at the Nashville event, I got to meet Vitalik. I think that's how you, I don't even know if that's how you say his name, but the guy that created Ethereum, or the face of Ethereum. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to have a photo with him because when I asked him, he was basically like, I'm so sorry, like I don't do photos or videos or anything like that, but I did take some footage of him before I went up and introduced myself. But I was really trying to get that photo because obviously I'm wearing the SquidGrow uniform, and yeah. But one of the team members actually got to take a photo with Ryoshi. I think is that his name? Ryoshi or Shaitoshi? What? Fuck, I don't know. There's so many Atoshis. But basically the Shiba Inu guy, he was there. And you know what's crazy? Like, unfortunately, Shibtoshi didn't come on this trip because we found out very early on that Singapore laws just weren't going to allow somebody to be fully covered in a mask walking around the event, which was interesting because I saw like 5 different people walking around the event for 2 days and just straight mask and nothing else. I don't know if maybe we were fed wrong information or maybe they had to show themselves before they walked in. I don't know. Maybe it was different for them. But I did see at least 5 people with masks fully covered head to toe, and they were fine walking around the whole event the whole time, including Shaitoshi. But yes, outside of Token2049, we did do Karate Combat 49. Shibtoshi was gracious enough to get the whole team pit side wristbands, so we had the pleasure of sitting right next to the pit. It's always a fun time at Karate Combat. Like I've mentioned before, I'm not really like the biggest sports guy, but when it comes to like fighting and stuff like that, I like that. I like that shit. And the cool thing about Karate Combat is they actually fight. It's actually brutal. I'm pretty sure at one point some guy was dropped on his head and they thought he broke his back, so he had to be carried out. But yes, while we were there, we were sitting right next to the stage where all the fighters come out and introduce themselves. And so obviously the camera is always right there, and anything in that 35mm frame, I don't even know if it's 35mm, I'm just making shit up. Anytime the wide frame is panning into the fighters, you can see us on screen. Well, you can see me on screen. I did it so much that they did a close-up on me, but I didn't realize I was on a close-up until I looked at the big screen and I was like, oh shit, and then they took it off me. But I got in there as much as I could. But yeah, shout out to President Awesome and everybody at Karate Combat. We had such a great time. Met a fellow Kiwi who's actually got quite a strong following and is in like deep in crypto. So that was real cool. And then the next day was the second day of Token2049. It went so fast while we were there, if I'm being honest. Like, yeah, we were there for a week, but it felt like a few days. You know what I mean? So imagine what a few days feels like when I go out there. I did have a couple hours free in the evening where I was able to travel to one of the biggest mall, well, the biggest mall in Singapore. And I gotta be honest, man, I was I was a little let down, if I'm being honest. Not that it wasn't big or anything, like it was big, but the stores, I think for me, I was just imagining it to be like America, like an extended version of America. I don't know why. Bro, 90% of the stores that they had in the mall, we already have them in New Zealand. And if we didn't, like the New Era or the NBL store that they have in America, it was the same store, but not the same products. It was very like, how do you say? It was very Asianized. Like it was like walking into an Asian store. Like if you're from New Zealand, you'll know what I'm saying. When you go up on High Street and you see all the Asian stores with all like the streetwear that they sell in there, it was basically the same kind of style. It wasn't really like American style where you have like baseball t-shirts and all this other kind of shit. But overall, had an amazing time. I always love catching up with the team. We are getting so much more closer than obviously what it was a year ago, especially the ones that I first met at the ranch last year. But yeah, man, we're getting like, it's like this. It's just like seeing your buddies now. It's not really like, you know, even though we are kind of like teammates and, you know, working and blah, 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 blah. It's like, you know, the boys are back in town. And girls and Tina. But yes, I'm obviously not trying to make this video half an hour long, but that's basically my summary of the trip. If you haven't heard of SquidGrow, please visit our website, which I'll leave right here. And if you don't catch it, all the links to our websites will be available in the description below. Make sure you look out for the vlog that's on the way. Make sure you're following us on TG. A massive, massive shout out to my brother Shib Toshi, the one and only, the reason why we're able to do all of these trips. Also, shout out to him and the team for the smooth migration a couple weeks ago. If you didn't know, SquidGrow has now gone from BNB and ETH to only ETH. So make sure you get it now before it's too late. But yes, I'm super excited for what SquidGrow has coming out over the next few months. I'm excited for the future. I hope I'm invited to more trips because I fucking love traveling. I do. I'm not gonna lie. And I love the fact that I'm going out there for a project I actually love. It's not like a paid coal influencer type thing. It's not like, oh yeah, well, I just have to be here because, you know, I signed a contract or anything like that. It's like, I fucking love this shit. I love doing this shit. Once again, if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I also have a Patreon where the link will be in the description, where I upload exclusive content that's only available on Patreon. And until next time, I'll catch you guys on the next one. SquidGrow.
Hey, we made it. Nigga, we made it.